Madison Rising right here on JJ's Jukebox with A Soldier's Christmas. And I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Happy holidays. You're rocking with DJ PMG, also known as Army Sergeant Joni Jackson. And it is Friday, December 14th. The time is 9:09. But most importantly, more important than I, is I have special guests in the building today. Not only do I have Sergeant Alon Humphrey empty-handed, I also have somebody very important, and I'm going to have him introduce himself.
Good morning. My name is Master Sergeant Nicholas Thompson, and I'm the Senior Career Counselor for 3rd Brigade Combat Team. We're the rotational unit here on the pen.
All right, and go ahead, speak your piece.
Man, I apologize for empty-handed donut crew. I apologize. What's going on, y'all? I'm Army Sergeant Alon Humphrey, DJ Wanye, also with 3rd Armored Brigade Combat Team Rotational Brigade, here to speak about some good stuff.
Yes, and we're talking retention all hour. So if you want to get your career on track, I advise you stay tuned. Keep it locked right here to DJ PMG's JJ's Jukebox. Right now we got some good music coming at you. Take Take, that new jam by DJ Snake, Selena Gomez, and Cardi. Drake featuring WizKid, you know I need a one dance, and I need to be on my show because it just brightens me up every day. You're rocking with DJ PMG, my special guest in the building. I have Master Sergeant Thomas and DJ Wanye, and we're talking retention. And what's really good about him coming in and to visit us today is the blended retirement program, especially since we need to opt in pretty soon here. So let's talk about a little bit about that, especially for people who don't know what it is.
Yeah, definitely. So the blended retirement is the hot topic of the month because the 31st is the final day to actually opt in. Mm-hmm. So the 31st of this month, everybody, if you're interested at all in the blended retirement system, you need to go conduct your training, get smart on it, and then actually just go in and opt in so you can be a part of it. Mm-hmm. But again, that's the 31st of December to do that.
Right. So tell me a little bit about the program itself, of why it's important to actually do blended retirement, or the difference between who can and who cannot. Okay, so the blended retirement, so it's replacing the legacy program where you would get 2.5% of each month of your basic pay up to 20 years, where now the blended retirement actually drops it down to 2%. Mm-hmm. And so how they're offsetting that reduction is by having you contribute to a TSP where the government will match your contributions up to 5%. Okay. So really, you can really maximize quite a bit of savings through the course of your career and up into retirement, because your money's going into a market fund where you can over the course of time you're actually going to make a pretty high percentage, pretty high yield. So it's a pretty good program. The ones that can contribute is anybody that came in from 2018 January 1st is automatically enrolled. They're already in the blended retirement system. Okay. Anybody prior to that, from 2006 to 2018 January, you have the option to opt in. So if you came in 2006 up to 2018 now, you have the option to opt in. And it's something that you really should consider looking into because it's an important program that can really you can really capitalize quite a bit of money into retirement, so it's good. Okay, so if anyone needs more information about the blended retirement to get more into it, who can they talk to? Say, I need to really understand the in and outs of blended retirement. Who can I go to speak to about this? Well, any one of the career counselors. You can always see a career counselor. We can always look up, do research. You can also go on JKO, do the training. It's a simple Google search also, but you can also go to the One Stop, I believe, here. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of financial advisors here that I'm sure would be able to get you smart on all that stuff. All right, and we do have a lot more to talk about coming up, and we're going to come back to the blended retirement system, especially since you have to opt in less than a month. You only have but so much time. So stay tuned for Master Sergeant Thomas and DJ Wanye. Right now I have your currency exchange and weather. What's the weather outside? Cold. No, I'm just kidding. All right. It's
frightening.
Frightful.
I say frightening because it's so cold. When you go out there, you get beat up by that cold weather.
Get a two-piece by the cold.
You say I got jumped.
It was this way, it was that way, it's the wind. But all right, so Camp Casey, it's 14 degrees with a high of 38 today. Nice, beautiful, sunny skies. In Youngstown, 30 degrees, mostly cloudy. A little later, it's going to be mostly sunny. Woohoo! Yes, with a high of 40. In the Osan Humphreys area, 15 degrees, sunny, beautiful skies with a high of 34. And $1 get you $1,009. 98 Korean won. Of course, your air quality is moderate. Ain't getting no better than that, especially with the what's going on. This is bad. Air quality is bad.
Hey, look, you need your mask on.
Just wear a mask.
That's it.
Here is Kendrick Lamar with Love.
So give me a run for my money.
I'll stay true.
All right, how about you stay true to AFN and JJ's Jukebox? You're rocking with DJ PMG and my special guest in the building. We are we are talking retention here. I got Master Sergeant Thompson, and I also have DJ Wanye, aka Sergeant Humphrey, in the building. Yes. So we talked a little bit about blended retirement, but now we're talking RCP.
Yes.
What is RCP?
So we've it's the retention control point, actually. So the Army expects everybody to get promoted. So they set limits at each grade of how much service you can actually do at that grade unless you get promoted and extend your retention control point.
Right.
So everybody's expected to get promoted, everybody's encouraged to get promoted, and that's why we set these limits.
Guess recently a new MILPER message came out, and the dates were adjusted, right?
Correct. So on 15 November, a new RCP message went into effect, and you can access that from HRC webpage and look up the most current MILPER messages. But some of the recent changes are, if you're an E4 promotable in a balanced or understrength MOS, your RCP, retention control point, actually extends from 8 years to 10 years. So you have a little bit more time to stay in.
Okay.
And then for E5 promotables, same deal, balanced or understrength MOS, your RCP changes from 14 years to 15 years. So it gives you a little added time to get your ducks in a row and make some career decisions.
Okay. All right. So this.
Now, what if just for the soldiers out there that don't know, can you explain to them what happens if they reach that RCP date?
Right.
So if you hit your retention control point, then essentially, the Army's gonna, thank you for your service and get you prepared to transition out of the Army. So that's when you start looking at, Soldier for Life, transition assistance, so you can start, better preparing yourself, understanding what kind of jobs are out there for you, getting your resumes built. The Army is not just slapping you on the back. They're actually, making sure that you're going to transition properly, and and of course, we're always thankful for everybody's service, but you hit that limit. We need people to advance to be leaders. We need people to fill those leadership roles, and if you don't successfully attain that, then thank you for what you've done. It's honorable.
So I do have a question about that also. So when it comes to certain MOSs and you want to strive to be better, and not just by rank, but just leadership, period, if they want to reclass into another MOS to build that leadership, or not just a leadership, but just get another job to be better, how easy is that for them to come to retention and say, okay, I see my retention control point is at this point, and I don't see the progression in this job. I want to try to strive for my best in a different type of career.
Yeah, because based
path.
off of like points, you may not, because some jobs, MOS is maxed out 798, and some people can't reach that.
So it's not that I feel like it's not that they're not there at their best, but sometimes it's hard to reach that max.
Absolutely.
So what about reclassing?
So that's an interesting question, because everybody comes to us about reclassing.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what the MOS is. Everybody comes to us about reclassing. And I think there's a lot of layers to unpack on when it comes to that. And it's a longer discussion. But as far as reclassing, if the MOS is available and you're qualified for it, of course we're going to give it to you. Your career counselor is immediately going to try to process that packet. If it's a packet MOS, if it's just something that we need to make sure that you're qualified for physically and meet certain conditions, then absolutely we're going to give you that reclassification. The only thing that you really have to consider, though, is as you're starting to advance in years in your service, when you reclass, you're starting over. Okay? So you have to take that in consideration. So, people are like, well, I'm 798, I'm maxed out, I can't keep going in my MOS.
Right.
I mean, my best advice to you is you can never stop chasing points. You have to always chase points.
Okay.
Because, points will drop. There will come a point that they drop, and you just have to be ready for it.
Right.
But when you reclass, you might be able to go to that other MOS, but there again, like you're going back to training, you're coming out of training, and if you're a sergeant, you're expected to already go into that new MOS, not as a brand new soldier in that MOS, but as a leadership position.
Having a little bit knowledge.
About it like that, right.
Yeah.
So because you're already have that leader rank, regardless, you still have you're not as knowledgeable on the subject as other sergeants who have been in that position.
Exactly.
So I get it now.
And then you kind of become a deer in headlights because you're
Right.
expected to wear bigger pants, and you're like, whoa. So, absolutely. Reclassification, absolutely. You should always pursue it if you really are just unhappy with what you're doing. But really, the most important thing is talk to the career counselor, because, they're going to be able to apply that perspective in whether it's a good decision for you or not. Because, at the end of the day, it may not even be your MOS that you're upset about. It may just be like, you're tired of paying your dues, but we've all done it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to stop having to pay your dues is get promoted as fast as possible.
Right.
Get away from it.
Exactly.
So.
All right. So we have more to talk about right here. We're retention. You need to stay tuned. Keep it locked right here to AFN the Eagle, serving America's best. Personal statement of military compensation is what we're going to talk about right here with retention. You're rocking with DJ PMG and my special guest in the building.
That was smooth.
Yeah, boy. So let's get right into it. Master Sergeant Thomas knows way more than I do, the career counselor. So what do we need to know about that topic?
So really important, one of the things that we like to talk about when we go through a counseling session with a soldier is, identifying and seeing their personal statement of military compensation. What that is, it's if you go into your MyPay, which everybody should know how to get to, mypay.dfas.mil, where you can see your LES and everything. The link right below your LES is your personal statement of military compensation. That outlines everything you make in service, your base pay, your entitlements, everything that goes into what you make. So it can kind of show you what you would have to make in order to sustain the same quality of life as you have in military service as you would if you were to separate.
Okay.
So as a civilian, you would have to make that level of income.
Oh, okay. Wow. So it really breaks it down for you like that. Okay, I need to actually look at that. I haven't even looked at that.
Yeah,
So you seen that before?
Yeah, I think it's important because some people have MOSs that, you really can't transition into the civilian sector.
Right.
It's like, I know a lot of people in the band, and a lot of people in the band are actually thinking about transition to another field because they say, what can I do when I get out of the military? Because I was on the band as well, and it was like, hey, you should go be a vocalist. But then I was like, well, I don't want to be like a teacher somewhere, teaching music. So that's what made me switch, because I didn't anything in my mind. I didn't know what to switch to when I got out to sustain a living as if I was in the military as well. But I think the other important thing is medical, though.
Yeah, so like the medical is a really big portion of, or something to really consider when you're getting out, because when you're in service, if you get hurt, you get injured, you get sick, whatever, you can go to the TMC, you can go to the hospital, you can go get checked, you can get seen, you can get fixed, you can have surgery, you tear your ACL, you can go get that repaired or replaced, and that's super important because it's just common knowledge in service. Yeah, I'm going to go get fixed, and the military wants you to get fixed. When you're on the civilian side and you're footing the bill for your own medical, depending on the level of coverage you have, or if you have coverage at all, it's the difference between getting injured or getting sick and deciding, do I go to the doctor? Is it worth footing that bill?
Right. Do
I get surgery? Can I afford that cost? Can I afford a cost of an emergency room? It's things like that, because at the moment of truth, the answer is probably yes, and I'm going to go. But then when you get hit with that bill, that's when you're thinking, oh my God, was that worth it?
Right.
All they gave me was, after 3 hours of sitting there, they gave me an ibuprofen, which we know all too well.
Yes.
So, that's something that's you really got to, think about, because, and the other thing is EFMP. So soldiers that have EFMP, and this one always blows me away, because, we're sitting through a counseling session, they're ready to get out, they're ready to, do whatever, the sky's the limit for them, getting out, they're super ambitious. But then they, you look at the records and you see, wow, you have EFMP. Who's got that EFMP? And what's the extent of that EFMP? We don't try to get too personal, but the point is, like, it's there, it exists. And then when you're getting out, is that a pre-existing condition for an insurance company?
Yeah.
Maybe. Does that cost more? Possibly. And those are things to consider. And there again, is that something that you continue to have the care for your spouse, your child, whatever? Or now do you have to make, a decision and say, okay, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe that condition's not that bad and we just deal with, just normal coverage or something,
I want to ask this. Do you think that, because a lot of people in the military, they just think about the now. And then you ask them, so what are you going to do when you get out the military? Then I hear a lot of people say this, well, man, I'm an NCO. I'll be able to get a job easy when I get out. I'll get put on the top of the list and stuff like that. So is that like a myth or,
it's different for everybody, and that's kind of a loaded question because, it really just depends how you network, in my opinion. Because
that's true,
there's a lot of people that come out of college with college degrees and they're not even doing a job that's within the profession of their degree. Yeah. Right? So the same thing goes with the military. And like a lot of people, infantrymen, 11 Bravos, a lot of times they're like, I can't do anything with 11 Bravo when I get out. And I always tell them, think of it, put a little perspective in there, it's the infantry branch is such a large branch.
It is.
The networking you have there and the people you meet, if your car breaks down, you can go into your formation and say, hey, who has prior experience with I used to work in a mechanic shop. My uncle owns a mechanic shop. Hey, if you ever aspire to be a mechanic, that's the person you want to start networking with. It's really about like who you network with, who you're involving yourself with, that will probably help you transition into that job you want. And like a lot of retirees, they continue on in government jobs because that's what they know, right? So it's not like I want to get out, and the funny thing is, like, when you first come into the Army, 20 years seems like forever, I just hit 14, right? And so for me, I'm like, man, where did it all go? I'm already there,
so
right?
It flies by, huh?
And you think about it, 20 years is a drop in the bucket to just get paid the rest of your life immediately.
Right.
And one thing I always try to apply perspective to is, life expectancy is somewhere between 75 and 78, right? For the normal American, right? Well, on the civilian side, if you can't collect your retirement until you're 59 and a half to 62, I think, somewhere around there, that's the earliest you can start withdrawing your retirement. In the military, if you come in at 20, you start collecting your retirement at 40, right?
Yeah.
So you actually start collecting from 40. You can almost collect for 20 plus years of retirement before your civilian counterpart would ever even be able to start collecting on theirs. And that's free money. That's investing in yourself.
They love it.
Yes. So that's all about, like you said, investing in yourself. And for any career information, you can go to a career counselor and have extensive talk, because it's all about tailoring it to your own life. Yep. Everyone's situation is different, like you said. With the
individual. Yep.
Yes, right. You have different experiences, different type of MOS, jobs, all field, and all that jazz. So make sure you go to your career counselor. And I want to thank you for coming in, Master Sergeant Thompson. And I want to thank you, Sergeant Humphrey,
for
giving him the plug. Giving the hookup.
I appreciate you for allowing me to come on your show.
Of course. So we're going to keep on. I'm going to talk to my guests, of course, offline about more stuff, because I got to get my career on track. But also, your currency exchange and weather. It's coming up right now. Your Camp Casey weather, 14 degrees, 38 for a high, sunny, beautiful skies. And Young Sun, 40 degrees, mostly sunny skies for today in the Osan Humphreys area. It's going to be 34 degrees right now, or 34 degrees for a high, and 17 degrees currently, sunny skies. And $1 US get you 1,098 won. $1 US gets you 1,098 won. You have to say it right. All right. Your air quality is moderate, and we're going to keep on rocking to the tunes. We got The Weeknd, who is actually in Korea right now. If you want to go see, he's in Seoul. That's right. I'm a star boy, but you know who else is a star? It is DJ Smitty, who's going to come on at the Penn Wide Show Hour, which is 10 to 2. So make sure you stay tuned right here. Keep it locked on AFN, the Eagle, serving America's best. How about we shoot with salt and pepper?
No.